He was reflecting the anti-capitalism, the anti-authority, the anti-war feelings which were prevalent among the Bristol Underground at the time, and a genuine belief that the world could be changed to be a better and fairer place.
At the same time, Banksy was evolving stylistically. Stenciling, a technique that had notably been favoured by Robert Del Naja, became an increasingly important part of his work.
Something that, if you were doing freehand, would take you hours, and if you were using a stencil, would take you less than 5 minutes, and you probably won't get caught doing it. You have an idea, you have an image, you print it out, you then project that image onto a piece of card in your studio, you cut it out into like a 3-layer stencil, you then walk up to a wall, and you stick the first layer of the stencil on the wall, which isn't illegal, and you stand there and you wait for no one to come, and you spray the first colour, you take it down, give it to your mate, stick the next layer up, which again isn't illegal. So it's pretty hard to get caught painting stencils.
Everyone can understand them. They're not this dense tagging. You see them, you click immediately.
It's the time that you spend in your studio thinking of the idea and doing the preparation is why I think it's slightly better than graffiti.
I think stencils initially were met with quite a lot of derision. They weren't taken very seriously.
A graffiti artist would never be caught dead doing that. That's the main difference, is we would never do that shit.
Traditional graffiti artists have a lot of rules that they like to stick to, and good luck to them. But I didn't become a graffiti artist so I could have other people tell me what to do.
If you're going to do graffiti, you've got to steal your spray paint, and you've got to paint trains, and you've got to tag stuff. You know, if you want to sit there in your stagnating graffiti, it has to be like this, well then, poor you. Because everything evolves and moves on.
For graffiti, that evolution dates back to the very early days in New York. At the time that the hardcore graffiti writers were bombing trains, work appeared on the streets and in the subway stations that shadowed the underground culture of tags and pieces, but was recognizably different. Together with his friend Al Diaz, a young artist named Jean-Michel Basquiat toured Lower Manhattan, writing the tag SAMO, an abbreviation of same old shit, accompanied by thought-provoking slogans and epigrams. Another young artist, Keith Haring, was tracking the SAMO pieces while developing his own form of illegal public art, drawing chalk outlines of figures and characters on vacant advertising boards in the New York subway and attaching mock headlines to lampposts around Manhattan.
Basquiat and Keith Haring were really the beginning of street art, modern street art as we understand it, in that it was taking the tools and the philosophy and the kind of ethos behind graffiti, but stepping to one side with it. Statements that have more to do with newspaper headlines or the kind of posters you'd see outside a church, say. Looking at the ideas of public space and how one could create art that would be seen by a mass audience rather than an elitist audience. And that's kind of the key difference. Banksy is well aware of the history of the art form and those kind of key players at key moments.
And for Banksy, there was no influence more important than the French stencil artist Blek Lerat. Blek, who had first encountered graffiti during a trip to New York, adapted the idea of street art to the European tradition of stenciling political statements on walls. His project to bring socially conscious art to the public began in 1981, when stencils of rats started to appear in the streets of Paris.
Blek Lerat's signature wasn't Blek Lerat, it was the rat. Rats like everywhere, like running around, and you would see multiple rats on the walls. He was also painting homeless people on walls. And so he basically was an artist that had a message. His message was, look at these things that are wrong in the city. Look at the homeless population. There's something wrong that there's so many homeless people. They're invisible to us. I'm gonna make them more visible by painting them on the walls, right?
High on concept, low on technology. Whereas the graffiti artist may be the other way around, you know, where it's definitely about, say, this technical skill with the spray can, that kind of thing, these, you know, intricate letters, which is great and fantastic. But, you know, who are you speaking to? And ultimately, what is the goal at the end? But if the goal at the end is, I really want to, say, change the world. Like, I want to deal with these bigger, headier concepts. And that's where Banksy changed the game.
He's taken the best of all these different worlds, the graffiti world and how he operates in the street, the stencil world and what he creates as an image, and sort of this social activist point of view. The three different, let's say, personality types packaged into one person. You have a really high profile art terrorist on your hands, right?